Hey there, martial arts enthusiasts. I'm Mike Petracca, your host for WCMA's Between Rounds, the series that gives you an up-close and personal peek into the lives of martial artists who redefine the extraordinary. Brace yourselves for an episode packed with inspiration as we shine a spotlight on none other than Christine Bannon-Rodrigues, a force to be reckoned with in the world of martial arts. From clinching multiple karate world titles to seamlessly transitioning into Hollywood's adrenaline-pumping stunt scenes, Christine has conquered it all. Today, we're in for a treat as she shares her journey from the dojo to the silver screen.
Christine, welcome and thank you so much for joining us here today on our Between Rounds segment.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, Christine, we could talk for hours about your martial arts accomplishments, and I'm sure you've done that in a lot of different interviews. I mean, we'll just go over a few just for the viewing audience here. You're a 10th degree black belt, correct?
Yes.
You have won multiple world karate championships. You're a stunt person. You're in countless Hall of Fames. You've been on the cover and featured in many different magazines. You're a coach. You're a dojo owner. I'm not sure. I'm probably leaving more things out, but those are just a few of the things that I want to tell people of the magnitude of a personality and martial artist that we have here. So I don't want you to be modest today at all. So with all that being said, Christine, I know this might be a very hard question, but what is your most proud moment in the martial arts career?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would probably say the last time I went to the World Championships and won my third gold medal at that particular world championship, because the first time I did that, it was breaking a world record, winning 3, 1 in each category, forms, fighting,
consecutively, right?
Right. So I did that the first time in England, and then I wanted to go back and do it again. So of course, my last gold medal, I won 1 in weapons and forms, and then I was going for the gold medal in fighting. So it was a extremely close match against a girl from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very close. And yeah, that was definitely, trying to pull that one off and get that third one was tough. And it definitely was something very memorable to me, something I wanted to achieve, and went back and did it again. And great memories from that.
And tell me, training in all those different disciplines, how do you train for each of them? I mean, what is your training like when you're going back to back to back? How do you do it?
Well, I think with any training, even as like someone who runs or does bodybuilding or something like that, those things can complement and help your martial arts. So, same thing when you're actually training in martial arts. If you're training in forms and weapons, it definitely complements and helps your fighting. It can only enhance it and make it better. So it's not like, they're separate, but they both help each other. I used to compete. I used to train for my forms and my weapons in the morning, and I would put time in, concentrating on those, working sections, doing 1 in a third form, so that I was always used to, when I went out there, just did a full form instead of adding that extra section on the end. I'd have that energy and be just as strong at the end as I was at the beginning. So different things I would do as far as my training goes, just concentrating on small sections, but then concentrating on the whole piece. And, backup routines, what I would do if I was tied, what other weapon do I want to pull out and do, because that does give an advantage if you did have a tie and you can come out with a totally different form. Gives you a better advantage to someone who, and back then that's something we would do is, a lot of times they just go to the scores and break the tie different ways so that you don't have to go out and perform again.
Mm.
But then I would concentrate on my sparring and my fighting in the evening. So I kind of separated the two, and that's kind of how it was for competition. You would be doing forms in the early part of the day when the tournament started. Fighting was a little later in the day
Hmm.
or evening. So I kind of planned it that way as far as, I would train at nighttime for the fighting. Plus, when I was in class, whether I was teaching or taking class, I had more bodies to be there and, be able to
Hmm.
spar with and work with. So,
And how did you stay mentally fresh through this whole process?
just concentrating on one tournament at a time, what my next goal was, what my next event was, and just putting that focus on that. And then if there was someone that I had lost to at any
Hmm.
time, focusing on what I learned from the situation and what I could do better and how to improve that. But towards the end of my career, I think I went 13 months on the world tour without losing a fight. So it was
Incredible.
a long
That's
span,
incredible.
Yeah. So
And Christine, when did you have the first thought that you could take your martial arts career and experience and turn it towards Hollywood?
it was never a goal of mine. It was
Hmm.
it was just something that happened. I was very good friends with Pat Johnson, who, was the fight choreographer or stunt coordinator for all the Ninja Turtle movies and
Oh yeah, remember those
all
well.
the Karate Kid for movies and some of the Batman and Robin, and he just was that was what he was known for. And we were very good friends, but I never went to him and said, you know, hey, if you need a young girl for one of your movies, give me a call. I never said anything like that to him. It was never really something that was on my brain. But he was filming the next Karate Kid, which was with Hilary Swank,
Yes,
um,
absolutely.
instead of Ralph Macchio on the fourth one. And they were filming in Boston. So uh, he knew we were kind of close, an hour away. And he was running into a little bit of a struggle with, he had a very good stunt woman who did a lot of the stunts for Hillary. She jumps over the pizza car, driving, and she does some good stunts in the, some impressive stunts in the movie.
Yeah,
But then when it came to the actual fighting, the woman was, knowledgeable in karate, but like maybe a couple years experience,
right. She's not.
and
She's not a
so
world champion.
no. Pat Johnson was like, this is the point of the whole movie, is this fight scene. It builds up to it at the end of the movie. I need, like, the fastest, most accurate and person that can do the craziest kick combinations or whatever. That's what I need, so he asked me if I was interested in coming down to meet the director and stuff and
Mm.
Hillary, and I was like, sure. So we took a drive to Boston and met the director and met Hillary, and we kind of matched up as far as height and everything goes. Even hair color at the time, we were pretty close, and hair length. So we didn't have to do a lot with you know, I had to do the bangs or whatever she had,
Right,
at the
right.
time and stuff. So a little bit that way. But yeah, so that was my first introduction to doing any kind of films, and it was like being a white belt on set because I didn't know what I was doing, and you know, and I just listened to him, and he would tell me, throw a really wide round kick, or like not how you would normally throw it, and telegraph it when you're fighting. It's a little different. So really wide techniques for the camera, and I need you to hit right at this point, and so I just listened to him and learned a lot as far as what the first AD is and the all the different people that you check in with and what the lingo is when it's background action and then it's
Hmm.
action for the actors or stunt people and yeah, it was a lot of fun and it was a great experience and just the start of it after that.
That's amazing. And how did that first time compare to being in competition? Were you nervous, or how did that go?
Yeah, I was nervous, but I had a lot of confidence in my martial arts.
Mm.
So um I think if they said, he has a paragraph say, or he has a sentence saying on set, I probably would have been like,
Yeah.
I would have been like extremely nervous, and you would have seen it, in my words and my tone of voice and everything
Sure.
else. But because I was doing something I felt very, very confident with, you know, um, got a little nervous just like in competition, but it's all on how you mentally, think of that pressure, in competition.
Hmm.
If you keep saying, oh, what if I fall? Or what if I miss this move? Or, if you focus on the negative, that's what's going to happen. If you focus on, what happens when I go out there and just nail this and the audience goes crazy, or, I
Hmm.
beat this girl, I picture beating this girl and,
Oh
and
yeah.
hitting her with all these different shots. And, it's how you mentally prepare for it. So it was the same thing on set. Like I wanted to say, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to nail this, one take,
Yeah, yeah.
it's going to be a piece of cake and I'm going to be right on the money, and then we're going to be all impressed. And, so,
And do they get
um,
pumped on set? Like, were they like after you killed it? Were they like, "Yeah, Christine, that was
yeah,
awesome"?
they do. They cheer you on, and they get excited and stuff. And you know, unfortunately, even when you're a one take person and you do it 100% perfect,
Hmm.
even when it's perfect, you still have to do it probably like another 10 times because they want to get different camera angles. So
Sure.
but when you mess something up and then they have to do it a ton of times at that camera angle and then switch them all, it can be a long process,
Long day. Long
so
day.
nailing it the first time is good because you still have a lot of other times to do it for different angles.
And how closely do you work with the actor or actress themselves? Like, did you work with Hilary Swank a lot to make the scene look as authentic as possible, or did she kind of take a back seat and then you do your thing?
Well, she was a little different than some of the other actresses I've worked with because she really wanted to do as much of it as she could.
Hmm.
So we did like for rehearsals or just training, we would work out not on set, but at a studio or whatever, and or at the hotel, and practice the fight scenes. So I would, teach her what the techniques were. So we would work out together, and she would be like, well, I feel better being on this side for a stance, so then I have to kind of adjust to what
Hmm.
would work better for her. Um, so we were able to work together quite a bit on the offset and on set. And
Nice.
and there's a lot of times when you're doing a fight scene and then you do the technique and then they throw her in because they want to do the close up.
Hmm. Sure.
With me it might be the back of me, and but some of it's very, very hard to tell because she does do some of the fight scene. They try to plug some of her stuff in. So it's definitely tough to tell. There's a spot in the barn where they were throwing the bags down, and
Hmm.
I was kicking them, and then they
Oh, I know
explode.
the scene you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I know exactly the scene you're talking about.
so that was a funny scene for me because of the fact that I I'm practicing it and I'm hitting it every time it comes
Yeah.
down, and I'm doing what I'm doing and doing the rehearsals. And then Pat Johnson comes over to me, and very much like a father figure, very protective and very just that relationship we had. And
Mm.
he comes over and he puts his goggles on, and I'm looking at him and he's like, "Are you ready to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "How come every camera guy and everybody in here has goggles and
The
all kinds of
protective eyewear.
protective equipment?" I'm like, and he's like, "You'll be fine. Just shut your eyes after you hit it. Just shut your eyes quick. You'll be fine. Just hit it
Wow.
right on because there were explosives in it."
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so I was like, "Oh boy, okay."
yeah.
I didn't get
You
the
just gotta
memo on this
trust,
part.
right? Yeah, I guess you just
Yeah,
trust that's gonna be okay.
yeah. So there was some fun stuff like that. So
That's amazing. And have you ever been injured on set at all during filming?
you know, um, nothing serious. When I was filming WMAC Masters, I mean, we were filming 16-hour days. I mean, easy.
Wow.
and it was insane. We're, filming in Universal Studios, and that TV show, we were playing ourselves. But I don't know if you ever, watched any of those episodes.
Yeah, yeah, I saw well, yeah, I saw a little bit to prepare for this, and yeah, that's a lot going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. So we would also be the ninjas. So like when the guy, we were all you'd have two main actors fighting on a show,
Yeah.
on an episode, but then the rest of us actors would end up being the ninjas. So some of those big guys had no idea it was me behind the cost, like who they were hitting, and
Oh, yeah.
so
Okay,
it
'cause you
it would
couldn't
get pretty
tell.
intense.
So that
It
had
would
to
be
take a little bit of a physical toll on your body, I would
Oh
think.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, good thing I was young back then. I mean, but there were a lot of hours, and but nothing of any, extreme serious injury, but you do have to have a good stunt coordinator, someone that
Mm,
you trust, because it's their job to make sure that things are rigged the right way. If it's, rigging, if it's
sure.
fire that you're dealing with, that, the or explosives or any of those things, guns. I mean, we've all seen,
Right,
issues with that.
right.
So you have to have a lot of confidence in that stunt coordinator, that they know what they're doing. And then still, if you have any questions, it's good to just say, can we do one more rehearsal with that, or can we double check, you
Mm,
know, the safety on that particular item, and you can't feel, like, oh, I don't want to get everyone on set mad at me, I mean,
sure.
and
Yeah, you can't
and
feel
I
embarrassed or,
right,
shameful to do that. It's necessary, it sounds like.
right. It is, and you want to feel confident with it, and so it's definitely something that you, as a stunt person, you need to do.
What was the most dangerous stunt that you've had to do? Do you recall?
Um, oh God. I mean, most of my stuff has been fight scenes and stuff, but I did do some, when I was on that TV show WMAC Masters, we did do the high climb into the battle dome, as they would call it,
Uh-huh.
and it was pretty high, and I would do a rope rappel down, and with no safety or anything, and
Oh, geez.
climbing
Yeah.
up it and doing that. So that was a good, I don't know, maybe like a two-story thing. I mean, it
Yeah, so you
wasn't,
do you do that. There's no green screen there with that,
right.
right? Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, stuff like that, taking certain falls, and we just did it was cool because my son's gotten into stunt work and kind
Hmm.
of has followed in my footsteps and is doing very well with it, being very successful. But we actually got to work on the same movie. Um, God, now I can't even think of the name of it. But it was there was fire scenes in it, and so we were like very, very close to the couple stunt people that were put on fire.
Mm.
So, that was although I wasn't put on fire, being very, very close to it, you have to, really, and we were around a lot of cars. So we were a lot of cars on set, and then the couple actors get put on fire, and
Yeah.
um yeah, Salem's Lot. I couldn't think of the name
Saves
of
a
it.
lot. Okay.
Salem's Lot, the remake. So we both got a chance to work together on that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
How cool is that? That must be amazing that you see him following your footsteps and you actually get to be on set together.
yes. Yes, and I had the walkies, 'cause we were stuck in a trunks in the cars, and I was ready to put the walkie and say, Dante, don't forget to put your earplugs in, because they were firing guns and stuff. And I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, if
I
I
don't
do that, he'll kill me if I do that to him.
I don't know. I don't know how you do it because I mean, it's part of the script, right? You know what's going to happen. Like so, you prepare for it. That's still got to be a little uneasy, to hear the
Yeah.
shots fire or to see the fire. I mean, I don't know. That'd be give me a little sensory overload or
Yeah, that was definitely fun experience. So, some of the I started off doing, because of the martial arts, doing fight scenes, doubling for someone that needed to do a fight scene, like doubling for Alicia Silverstone on Batman and Robin.
oh yeah,
Um,
yep.
so doubling for people, but then, later on, I got hired just to do a stunt, I did some stunts on Underdog.
Mm-hmm.
And it had nothing to do with karate. It was, taking a fall and some outside stuff with kind of when the dog's flying through and the kids getting pulled around. So, being outside doing some of that stuff.
And you were on it was you're a bridesmaid, 27 Dresses, right?
Yes.
As
Yeah.
well. Okay, so you've done yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was one of the bridesmaids. And I'm trying to think, Mother Android. Was it Mother Android? Yeah. Oh no, it might have been Salem's Lot. I think it was Salem's Lot that I was on the rooftop of a building and they had wired me, they had put a harness on me, but you had a real steep peak and
Mm-hmm.
they were on the other side. And but they wanted me, I was supposed to be, like Salem's Lot, you're like this zombie witch or whatever, and watching people in the street. But I was supposed to just be standing there like normal, and I was wearing these shoes from Wardrobe, and my feet, like I had no grip on the roof,
Oh,
and I'm like, I'm gonna just fall on my butt. I need to go put my sneakers on, So,
yeah. Yeah. Did you
so
get through it or did you have to go put the
no,
sneakers
we
on?
we ended up switching, and I ended up going on the ground, and
Mm-hmm.
and because I was on the ground, it was more of a close up, so I had to have the contacts with the crazy eyes and all this stuff, which was I would have much rather been on the roof.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, and because my sneakers had a logo on them, like I don't know if they were Adidas or Nike or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, right after that movie, I was like, I'm going out and buying a pair of nice black sneakers that have good grip, that
Mm,
don't have any logos on them, so I can just take them to set if I need to, like, because they wouldn't have been able to tell that they weren't from back in 1980 or 70 or whenever the movie
yeah.
was supposed to be shot. They wouldn't have been able to tell, but when you got a big Nike logo on it or something, yeah, it was an issue. So,
Is there any difference between, from your experience, stunt work here in the US versus overseas?
um, I haven't worked overseas doing any stunt work, so it's hard to say on that.
Hmm.
But just from people that I know that have, it's a little the laws aren't as protective,
Sure.
so a lot of times, especially over in China and places, they can do some crazy stuff without safeties and things like that. So, excuse me. So it's a little more dangerous, I think,
Mm, hmm.
and I have some good friends up in Canada that film, they're into the film industry pretty big, and it's always
Yep.
it's always a tough thing to go up there, and if they needed someone, to do a specific scene that I could do,
Hmm.
it's always, very, very difficult because they try and get Canadian, they don't want to use an American.
America, yeah.
They want to have their Canadian citizens on set, so it becomes very difficult to go up there and work for them for that. So, but yeah, it'd be kind of cool filming
Yeah,
overseas somewhere.
absolutely. You get to see a whole different landscape and meet different people, and I'm sure that's very
Yeah,
fulfilling as well.
places.
We did a little homework, and I think this is accurate, but you can tell me if you heard something else. So on the home front over here, from what we found, you happen to be the very first woman from the state of Rhode Island to have been an action film stunt woman for Hollywood.
Oh,
So
I don't
if
know.
that is correct, which I think from our findings it is, how does that make you feel?
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Now that there's so much more filming going on in New England,
Mm,
between Boston, not even counting New York, but just Boston, Rhode Island, Connecticut, there's a lot of filming going on now. So there are a lot of people that are getting involved in the stunt industry over here. We actually did a little stunt training here at our school to train
excellent.
some athletes that were not martial artists. They were football players, basketball players, gymnasts, like different athletes, that one of the stunt coordinators from Rhode Island, who's a female, um, she wanted us to, work with them and, so that she doesn't have to hire people from New York or California
Mm,
for things that aren't super complicated, So
sure.
so we worked with them and stuff and did some training with them and stuff. And, it's easy to work with athletes because, that they're athletic. They used to, taking their bumps and bruises
Oh yeah.
and stuff, but it's just a little different for them to learn, on the fighting end and falling and different things like that. So, but that was fun. So, but that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. A little fun fact. So that's pretty cool. And Christine, lastly, what advice, if there's a young woman out there that is a martial artist that's having, great success at these tournaments and wants to aspire to follow in your footsteps, what advice would you give them about being a stunt woman?
Well, I guess, you know, while training to be a stunt person, you could get on a lot of different films just as an extra.
Hmm.
There's a lot you can learn just being on set, whether it's as an extra or, anything else that you could get on set doing. But you learn the lingo, you learn, what's good to do, what's not good to do, what this person does, what that person does, what this camera is for, so you
Hmm.
can learn a lot from being on set. And you can also get into the union by being in um, you know, so many SAG union
Hmm.
films as an extra. You could get your stunt card. I mean your union card, your SAG card. So I would recommend that, but still getting with someone who is familiar with doing stunts so that you can learn, you know, I mean, I knew how to fight better than anybody, but put me in front of a camera and it's like, no, you can't throw a straight punch like that. You gotta
Yeah.
like swing it and make it look
Throw the
all
haymaker.
dramatic. And so it's almost like the opposite of what we've been taught, some of the stuff that you use when you're doing film work. So and certain techniques work better than straight line punches and
Mm.
the swinging and hooking and different things. So working with someone that is familiar and you know uh rest his soul, Michael DePasquale, used to do a great stunt camp down in New Jersey.
Mm.
I had gone and participated in it, and I taught in it later on. But he would have all kinds of things like, a real high, where you do the high fall into the big air balloon, pit,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They put that there. Wow.
because doing a fall into that, like you can't land on your feet, you have to land on your back, or and land the correct way and different things. And then he would do the ratchet where you're getting pulled back and slammed into a
Mm.
wall or something. And they had the like the rope rappel, where they'd shoot you down. And so a
Yeah.
lot of
A lot
different
of fun
things we were
toys.
we were able to learn there. So if you could get somewhere like that, I know my son has gone to uh I want to say it's New Jersey. He's gone to stunt driving school a couple times and gotten certified over there, and they
Mm.
have different levels.
Hmm.
So the stunt driving is a big thing too.
So there really is a process to it,
Yes.
just to get involved. It's great information then for anyone out there who wants to be a stunt person. I think that valuable insight. And yeah, this is I keep it. Time always goes by so quick with these things, Christine. Like I said,
Yes.
this is just a small portion of your illustrious career in the martial arts. And I know you're feeling under the weather today, so
Yes.
I appreciate you wholeheartedly for taking the time to do this wonderful between rounds interviews. It's always exciting for me to get to talk to anyone in the martial arts industry, fighter, stunt person, coach, and it's always very exciting. And I think that people really can get to know a lot about you, what you do, and just an amazing career that you've had. So thanks so much today for coming in here, even though you're sick, spending some time with me. And we talked about this off camera, but I am super pumped from the Ocean State Grand Nationals 2024. So
Yes. Me
I'll
too.
I'll
I'm looking
I'll be
forward to
seeing
it.
I'll be seeing you there.
Absolutely.
Imagine working alongside Academy Award-winning actress Hilary Swank and holding the title of one of the world's most decorated female martial artists. Christine's achievements speak volumes. And guess who gets to claim bragging rights? The state of Rhode Island. This trailblazer, a true pioneer in combat sports and action films during the vibrant 80s and 90s, calls the Ocean State home. How fortunate are they to have Christine, a living legend, shaping the minds of today's youth with her invaluable lessons. Christine, thank you for gracing us with your presence between rounds and for being a driving force behind the evolution of martial arts in sports and cinema. If you would like to personally train with Christine Bannon-Rodrigues, she can be reached by visiting their website at donrodriguezkarateacademy.com or calling 401-737-2809. We would like to dedicate this interview in loving memory of Pat Johnson.